on the slate right now is Indy. They're taking on the Jets at home. I think that's a pretty natural spot to go to, although they get Jacksonville at home next week. So they're kind of flip-flopping with Buffalo here. You can put Indy on ice and use them again next week. After that, it's Dallas against Denver, the Rams against the Titans, the Dolphins against Houston. I mean, that's probably the one that you want to go to. Not a lot of future value in Miami. Not a lot of future value in Pittsburgh either against the Bears. I think either one of those are fine. But Miami is probably the move, although they do have home against the Jets coming up later. All of these teams either play the Jets or the Jags sometime in the next 8 weeks.
It's pretty incredible that the Jaguars, first team in NFL history to play 35 games in a season, apparently, because every team plays the Jaguars. I've never seen anything like it. But Miami, it's going to feel wildly uncomfortable. I just stated on our strategy show the other day, I think Miami is the worst team in the entire league. I don't think they should be 7-point favorites. I really don't. They're awful. But if you are playing for the long haul, this might be one of only 2 chances to get rid of Miami. You are going to save all that value with Buffalo. You're going to save all that value with Indy. You could go to the Steelers. I think that's totally reasonable, but the Bears are clearly a better team than the Texans, so it's not exactly that much easier.
Pittsburgh also gets Detroit next week, so another perfect opportunity to go that direction. A lot of just garbage teams playing garbage, or good teams playing garbage teams in back-to-back weeks this week. It's like Jacksonville Jets, Jags. I see Detroit popping up in places, Atlanta popping up in places. There's a lot around of just like bad teams.
But I think you really have to start. I mean, your pool is certainly thinned out, and if you are in a small pool, we'll talk a little strategy just for a second here. If you have the ability, try to cross-check who has what left. If you realize that nobody has, say, everyone's gonna have the Dolphins left, but no one has the Bills left, and you do, well, then you can leverage them really nicely, and you know that you're going to be ISO'd on them in a great spot. If everyone's got the Bills left, I would recommend going elsewhere and giving yourself that out, because probably everyone in your pool going that direction. The strategy of Survivor becomes of the utmost importance between now and Thanksgiving, when your pools are really starting to thin out.
I'm pulling it up right now. This is something I should have done before we started, but I got there pretty quickly. Do you have any guesses as to who the most popular plays are so far at Yahoo for their Survivor contest?
For this week?
Yeah.
I would guess the Colts.
The Colts are second at 22%.
I mean, the Bills are the biggest favorite. I just don't know how many people have them left.
28% of people going to the Bills right now. Miami is fourth with 8.5.
Who's third?
The Dallas Cowboys taking on the Denver Broncos.
Assuming Dak will be back and healthy, and apparently they don't even need him, so what do I know there? But it makes sense.
That makes me like Miami more.
I would agree, because if 28% of your pool is going to Buffalo, that's going to mean almost 100% of people have extinguished them, because I would imagine the majority of people who aren't can't. And if you save them, or you can get by with the Dolphins, that is going to be the move. Now, I said I want a full disclosure. We talked about this last week. Said that with Carolina and the Falcons game. You would be out, and you run a bigger risk if you choose the Dolphins. There's no doubt about it, but you're trying to win the Survivor pool, not just make it to week 11, week 12. You gotta go all the way, and I think this is the best way to do it.
I'm with you. I think it's better to get away from Buffalo if you can. Miami's right there for you. If you have Buffalo available and 22% of people are using them this week, you're perfect for next week in a situation where they're taking on the Jets. You can't ask for much more there.
No, and that makes, if you're going to use them next week, maybe use the Steelers this week. But again, they have future value as well. So just chart out a little bit, look ahead. Certainly, if you have any questions, you can hit us up on the Awesemo Odds YouTube channel, hop in our Discord, like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments, what are you doing? Are you going to go with the Bills as the favorite? You're going to go with the Dolphins as the wild card? Or are you going to do something else? We love to hear the feedback. We appreciate you guys subbing and supporting the stream. So good luck today. Good luck this week in Survivor. Talk to you guys soon.
What's going on, everybody? Josh Engelman and Ben Razza here for Awesemo.com, and we are back.
Ooh, college basketball starts.
Get rid of baseball, right into college hoops. Boom.
I mean, part of that's good. Man on fire. I wish you had more time style. Like, I just don't.
What is up? It is the Awesemo Betting Show brought to you by BetMGM. Pete McCarthy, Ben Rossa with you as we hit week 8 of the week 9 of the NFL season. Look at that. We're almost to hit the halfway point of this season. So get used to that full 18-week jaunt that we have this time around. How we doing, Ben?
Hanging in there. Yeah, it's I always look at Thanksgiving as kind of like a main checkpoint. I think a lot of people do for the NFL. So we're not quite there yet, but we're coming along. Baseball's in the rearview mirror. College hoops about to start. It's a good time of the year, no doubt about it.
College hoops. Do you have a college hoops team? What do you get involved with there?
Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah, that's your team, huh?
I mean, it is this year, but no, I don't have teams because UMass is a disgrace. So I'm going to root for Hofstra because of you, and I'm going to root for Eastern Kentucky because of me.
I saw Hofstra isn't preseason projected all that well in the Colonial, but hey, maybe UMass could bring back Marcus Camby, make it all happen. So you never know. It's college hoops. It's all craziness. Hey, we're doing betting style NFL, going through all the games on this Sunday. Give us a like, subscribe, keep up with all of our shows here at Awesemo. DFS offers giveaways and much more. Once you do subscribe, hit that notification button to get alerts when our shows do go live. Be sure to also check out today's free premium tools and data, which are week 9 NFL ownership projections, NBA player rankings, and NHL ownership projections as well. And of course, get involved in the chat here on YouTube. You have some questions and some player props as we work our way through. Ben will mix them in. So we'll have that for you, of course, as well. So let's fire it up with one of the more interesting games, I think, on the slate right off the bat. The Browns visiting the Bengals. And it's kind of who the heck are the Bengals after they lose to the Jets last week, did not handle their prosperity very well after a big win in Baltimore. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns, with all the turbulence this week with Odell Beckham Jr., Beckham is now gone. I wouldn't think that affects how you really think of this Browns team, considering he's been such a non-factor. The Bengals, a 2.5-point favorite on the Browns on their home field. What's your read, Ben?
My read is I'm glad to get this game out of the way early because I was talking before the show, there are certain teams where you have a good pulse, and I have a couple of those. One that I don't is the Browns, clearly. I loved them against the Steelers last week. I watched the game, and I come away thinking that this team, once again, just can't put it together. I don't know why. They have all the tools. They have a great defense at times. I don't think Baker's the best quarterback in the world, but he should be serviceable. Then you look at Cincinnati. Everyone was crowning them champs against Baltimore. Then you lose to the Jets. So who are they? But they are at home here. They are a slight favorite under a field goal. And the one thing I think we can say, at least for me, I trust their offensive weapons a hell of a lot more than I trust whoever Cleveland is rolling out there. You've got Burrow, you've got Chase, you've got Mixon, you've got these secondary players. I think Cincinnati will be able to move the ball. Doesn't mean that Nick Chubb and them can't keep up, but I feel more comfortable at this point saying I know more about Cincinnati than I do Cleveland.
Well, I think the best unit on the field is the Browns defense, is it not? And, you know, look, the Bengals are such a big play offense. It's almost like Patrick Mahomes. You do it, the Jets did a little bit last week. You play so far back that you're not giving up those big plays to Jamar Chase and make Burrow beat you underneath and try to, nickel dime his way down the field. I think Cleveland has the ability to do that. I don't mind the Browns at all in this spot getting 2.5 points against a division rival.
I mean, it makes sense because it's the first week where I haven't declared them my lock it up. So they probably will win. I look at Cleveland and it's hard for me to, this isn't week 3 and we're saying we're going to see. They just have no identity, particularly offensively.
Yes,
and
offensively.
It's such a concern. Defense, you're right. They bring it. Myles Garrett's unbelievable. They have a team that can certainly play at a high caliber level. But offensively, week to week, you just don't know exactly what you're going to get. I think Odell means absolutely nothing. But the remaining guys are going to have to step up if this team has any hope for the playoffs at this point. They are quickly falling into irrelevancy.
Well, what about this Bengals defense? I mean, Mike White went off against them, over 400 yards. All he did was throw to the running back over and over and over. Bengals never adjusted at all. They didn't tackle particularly well. And you start looking back at the Bengals schedule, it's not as if they've gone up against a bunch of top-notch offenses over the course this year. And I'm not saying that the Browns are one of them, but is this Bengals defense even any good? I think, like you said, we feel good about the Bengals offense. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, tough matchup here against Cleveland. But on the other end, I don't think the Browns are scoring 10 points like they did last week against Pittsburgh. They're going to be able to get some things going here.
Well, that's going to be clearly the key. I feel most confident about Cincinnati's rush defense, top 5 right now, sub 4 yards a carry allowed. And that is very impressive. So I think the opportunities are going to have to be for Baker and Landry and Hooper and those type of guys. I don't think Nick Chubb is simply going to run it down Cincinnati's throat. And you kind of see that. The best game Cincinnati played all year was against Baltimore of all teams. And that's a run-heavy team. They're able to mitigate that. So I'm with you in the regard that I don't think we know exactly what Cincinnati's defense is, but I do think the front in particular is poised to stop Nick Chubb.
I will say, I haven't heavily disagreed with you a whole lot over the course, or we haven't disagreed with each other a ton on a game and just seen it differently. This is one that we see differently. I mean, when I went through, I had the Browns as a 2-point favorite going in, and they're getting 2.5 points here. So this was, to me, one of the games this week where I saw a big disparity. Is this a game you're going to touch? Or is this a stay away for you? How firm are you about liking Cincinnati in this spot?
No, I think it really goes back to at this point in the year, at least for me, you kind of have to know yourself. And Cleveland, I'm not surprised to see you say, wow, I see this wildly differently, because multiple weeks in a row, I have seen the Browns wildly differently than a lot of other people. And this is a team I seemingly struggle to figure out when I evaluate them. When I look at the props, I don't come up with the same conclusions. So this one is towards the bottom of my card. It's just hard for me to really trust Cleveland, given what I've seen over the last month or so.
And I know one team you feel really good about predicting, Tennessee Titans. We'll get to them on Sunday Night Football when they're going up against the Rams. Little different wrinkle, though, without Derrick Henry in the mix now. One of the other top early games, I think whenever Dallas is involved, right, it has the attention of everybody, and now they actually deserve that attention with the way they have played. Big win behind Cooper Rush on Sunday Night Football and the Vikings last week. We both liked the Dallas in that spot, even with Cooper Rush. Cowboys a 9.5-point favorite now in the Denver Broncos, and this game has kind of moved around a little bit. I think it started at about a touchdown, ran up to 10. Now it's back down to 9.5 for the Cowboys, which makes a little bit more sense here. I will say the Awesemo betting tool, which you can check out for free, awesemo.com, go to NFL betting tools, and you can check that out. Really likes Denver in this spot, seeing a 9+% return on investment there. I think kind of one of the questions is, with the trade deadline behind us, how does some of these teams react after being sellers at the deadline? We know football is an emotional sport, and the Broncos lose one of their franchise linchpins, sending Von Miller to the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, it's not like the NBA, it's pretty atypical. So when that does happen, I do think it can have an effect on a team. And the Broncos, they've been another tough evaluation, to be honest, because they start off really hot, but the level of competition has increased and the results have kind of decreased. They're really hurting offensively over the last month or so, just not putting up a ton of points. And against Dallas, it's hard to think that you're going to be able to survive without putting up a ton of points. I mean, Dak Prescott looks seemingly he's fine. It was more precautionary than anything else. If I was going to back the Broncos, I certainly would either look for 10 or find 10. This was at 11 at some points. It's bounced around. I think this would be the wrong time to back them at 9.5, just because there's been ample opportunities to get this north of 10.
Well, if you had to pick it at 9.5, I still like the Broncos in this spot. It's a big half point, as you've talked about. And there's no doubt we don't know how the emotional factor will play into it, Von Miller being dealt, but the Broncos, they're not particularly good, but they're a competent football team, right? Is that fair? Because they started out 3-0, beating up on 3 dregs across the league, and then it's like, oh, Teddy Bridgewater and company, are they good? And they're not good, but they're competent. They're a competent football team. I don't necessarily see them walking into Dallas getting blown out. And also, for the Cowboys, another one of those questions, how does a team handle some prosperity when things are going their way? They've been able to win game after game after game. They've been red hot covering the spread, of course, for a long time. I think they're still perfect against the spread over the course of the season. So, but now they're really being looked at as one of the top teams in the league when you are a 9.5-point team favorite against a competent football team on your home field.
Yeah, I mean, I still, if I had to pick the game at 9.5, I would lean to Denver. It would probably just be maybe a reduced unit play or not one of my priorities. And it's just because of that line. I don't think, Dallas is a little banged up as well. They've got guys on the outside that it looks like they're going to play in Cooper and Lamb, but it seems like they're not 100%. And I will say, one of the things I like to do to try to piece these games together is look at Odd Shopper. When I went there this morning and I was looking for the top bets, Dak Prescott's completions popped up and they like the over. And that kind of indicates to me that maybe this game is a little back and forth. Maybe this game is one where Dak will have more opportunities. I think a lot of people think, oh, Dallas they'll get ahead and then they'll run it with Zeke and run it with Pollard. I don't know if that's going to be the case. So I think that we could see a little back and forth nature to it. If the Broncos can even keep pace a little bit, I think Dak could be pretty busy, and I think the game could stay somewhat competitive.
And you could, of course, check out Odd Shopper. Such a great tool. Allows you to find your best bet. You could do it 30 seconds or less through its powerful filtering mechanism. It just quickly delivers bets that you want to make right to your fingertips. And you can click the link in the description of this video to head on over to Odd Shopper and check out all the info that you can get there. The Miami Dolphins, they are a favorite. The Miami Dolphins giving points, giving 5.5 to the Houston Texans. It shows you where Houston is, though. Tyrod Taylor is being activated today, so could be a new quarterback for Houston after the Mills experience over the course of this season. I mean, last week was kind of a wild one, huh? They scored 22 unanswered in the fourth quarter. I think they got the backdoor cover, and for most people with that big fourth, crazy.
Games are never over. Somehow the Rams are always involved in those, but that doesn't matter. I think what does matter here is Houston is taking a lot of money. I don't know if it's just because of Tyrod Taylor, but it's seemingly this spread has continued to fall. It was flirting with 7 and then it was 6.5. Now it's 5.5. I've been railing that I think the Dolphins are the worst team in the league. Hopefully they show that today because I kind of like Houston in this spot. I mean, it's a half a game sample size, but Houston looked all right at the beginning there for a little while. They had Tyrod, they beat the Jaguars, and then he goes down. I mean, who knows where they would be. I'm not saying they'd be competing for the South, but I think it's a major upgrade. He brings stability. What can you say about Miami? I thought they were going to be pretty good this year. They have just been a disaster. I know Tua has been hurt at times, but it just seems like regardless who's under center, the team is not functioning at a high level. I don't think either of these teams should ever be flirting with a 6 or 7 point favorite. I would take the points regardless.
And, what about some of the props here? Tyler asked about Tyrod Taylor. I'm kind of curious about Myles Gaskins. He's going to have a lot of opportunity today for this Miami offense. I mean, if you do like Miami covering 5.5, makes a little bit of sense to take a look at that running game from Miami. That's probably how they're going to get out to the lead. Kind of surprised you. I'll throw another number. The over-under is at 46. Is one of those games with two inept offenses where maybe you expected to be down at 41, 42, but expecting at least a little bit of offense from these two teams, even if it's just neither of the defenses are all that great either.
Yeah, I mean, mistakes, a lot of things can lead to points. So the interesting thing about Tyrod's rushing prop, I look at it. At first glance, I say, oh, over. This guy can really move. The concern is it was a hamstring, and that might be the one thing that they say, all right, you're back, but let's not. I'd be pretty surprised if Houston's game plan is to get him moving immediately. It seems like that could be the one thing to come maybe later. We've seen that with guys like Dak at the beginning of the year, coming off major injury. Let's get him in there, but don't be running wild. So I'm just a little concerned that Tyrod Taylor might not have many opportunities to get loose with his legs.
All right, so Miami 5.5 points spread there in Houston. You seem to lean towards Houston. I'll lean toward Miami, but I don't feel particularly great about that game there. I do have Miami in my survivor, which
I get that
I won't feel good about. But that you got to hit a few of these over the course of this year if you want to make it to the finish line. So one of the ugly picks, you just have to grin and bear. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This is going to give you full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our premium Slack channel, lineup builder, and much, much more. And if you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, you can take advantage of the promo code we have for this show, which is Betting Show. That's all caps, one word, betting show for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link to activate this coupon in the description of the video below. And that'll help you not just for NFL. Hey, you want to play UFC like last night? You get all the info, the knockout info, help you out a little bit, make some selections there. NBA, NHL, you name it. Awesemo Plus Weekly Pass, $29.95. Again, promo code betting show. Saints -6 taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Honestly, I think the Falcons are terrible. I've said this time and again over the course of the year. Jameis Winston goes down for the Saints. If Jameis Winston is playing today, you think this line's at 10?
Yeah.
Like, is Trevor Siemian, the downgrade from Jameis Winston, really worth 4 points? I don't think so. I thought Trevor Siemian did a nice job handling this Saints offense last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if you're betting on the Saints, you're betting on this defense, which is third in the NFL, according to Football Outsiders DVOA. I like the Saints in this spot, even giving up 6, even with the backup quarterback in there and Trevor Siemian. Maybe I wouldn't feel as good about it with Taysom Hill, but this is a veteran quarterback who is about as capable as, say, Jameis Winston. A step below, no doubt, but not necessarily 4 or 5 points.
I agree with you. I do lean to the Saints. I think the bigger issue is on the player prop side because we just don't know right now. Trevor Siemian, Taysom Hill, the split of that, is it 90-10? Is it 80-20? Is it 60-40? We just don't know. And that's going to have a ridiculously, massive effect on Kamara and these other skill position players. But the Saints defense will be there, whoever's under center. And I can't stress how disappointing it was to see Atlanta last week. I didn't think they particularly were going to play great, but they had 146 yards passing against Carolina in a game they were trailing throughout. I don't really understand. Ridley's gone, and that led to Russell Gage having the whopping 0-0-0 on 0 target game. Don't really understand that. Pitts was a non-factor. I have no answers for what the Falcons are doing offensively. Going into the Dome against the Saints team, even though they're not at the best of their abilities, I don't know how Atlanta is going to manufacture more than a couple scores.
That Falcons-Panthers game was maybe the ugliest football game I've watched so far this season.
It was terrible. Us all astray. Ridley goes down. I jumped on OddsShopper. I found massive value in Kyle Pitts' prop, Russell Gage prop. The line moves, a full reception and a half. I feel great. Not so much. Matty Ice had other plans for me.
Yeah, I mean, that Atlanta offense, it's Cordero Patterson, Kyle Pitts or bust. It does seem these days. And look, 2 weapons isn't going to be enough against the New Orleans Saints. It is, again, a fairly big number you're looking to cover here, but how many points you really expect the Atlanta Falcons to score? And we know, the Saints aren't that dependent on their quarterback. Their best player offensively is the running back, Alvin Kamara, who could be a factor in so many different ways. So again, I really like New Orleans in this spot against the Falcons -6 on their home field. One of the better home field advantages you're going to get, of course, in the NFL as well. Next up, a little trickier game. The New York Giants getting 3 points against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Giants playing on their home field in Jersey. Big Blue will again be without Saquon Barkley. They're going to give him another week, and then they have the bye next week to try to get him right. Sterling Shepard is out as well. I don't know how much you factor this, but the Giants had a number of false positive COVID tests, which kind of disrupted their practice week. I don't think that's the end of the world. Of course, the Raiders didn't exactly have a smooth week with Henry Ruggs' horrific and fatal DUI. So he is, of course, off of the Raiders now. I don't have a great feel for this game. What do you make of the Giants getting 3 points on their home field against a Raiders team that has held up okay since all the John Gruden nonsense a few weeks back?
Yeah, it's tricky because, the Raiders are a team, not that you could ever plan for these type of things, but they did have another outlier, ridiculous situation. And then they looked really good against Denver. They were able to, transition coaches really nicely, and Carr and co did the work. Now you get the classic coming in. It's a 1:00 game on the East. It's so much going on. I've been kind of shorting the Raiders all year, and it's hard for me to say, okay, this isn't a spot where I want to try that once again. I don't think it's a death sentence when you go from West Coast to East Coast. I don't think we've seen time and time again, Seattle, the Raiders, the Rams, they can do that. It's just still not an ideal situation. But the more important thing, and I kind of want to ask this as a statement / question, the Giants every week, it's a new cast of characters in their offense. And it's just like, it's hard to evaluate if this is a stronger unit, a weaker unit. Of course, we'd want Saquon. We've got Tony. It looks like Galladay may be back. I mean, I think for me, it's Giants or pass, but it may be pass.
I would pass. Again, I play in a pool, so I pick all these games. I took the Giants, but
Okay.
I don't feel good about this game at all. And I'll tell you that right away. Yeah, I don't know how many Raiders fans are in the New York area, but all those Jets and Giants games are always taken over by the visiting team anyway. And the Raiders are kind of a national team. I don't know, maybe it's an older generation.
I just, again, there's so many unknowns on both sides, but I look at the unknowns for the Giants and I feel like it can only almost get better. They have played basically without skill position players a couple of times. Now, whoever comes back is a bonus. Danny Dimes is there. I think he's fine. Carr has shown he can obviously handle himself pretty well. I've been impressed with him all year, to be honest. And they've got some players. I just think, again, if you're going to give me, like, I'd rather honestly take the money line. Plus 145 is out there.
Okay. Yep.
I don't mind that, honestly. I'd forego the 3. Kind of a toss-up game. If you're going to give me plus 150-ish, I'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a home dog. So you get some points. You're getting little plus on the line there. So a little bit you can maybe try to take advantage of there if you're feeling frisky. The New England Patriots are visiting the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers have just backslid so much since those first 3 weeks of the year. Defensively, they're still a fairly strong team, but offensively, maybe it turns around this week. Sam Darnold did pass concussion protocol. He will start at quarterback, and he does have probably his number one, Christian McCaffrey, back. Now, that first game against the Jets, all they did was run the ball with McCaffrey, throw to McCaffrey. We have seen Darnold build a good rapport with DJ Moore. Is it possible as Carolina offense can figure some things out against a New England defense that's pretty good? And I will throw out the over-under in this game, very low, 41 points for the Patriots and the Panthers.
I kind of think that's warranted. I think at the core, both teams want to be pretty conservative, run the football, lean on your defense, don't do anything stupid. I guess for me, the big question is McCaffrey coming back. Is that a big deal right now, given it's a hamstring? I don't know. Does he just like come in and start touching the ball 30 times? I think that's probably doubtful.
That's what they do.
That is what they do. I mean, I remember the situation last year, and that is what happened. I am a little skeptical of what Carolina brings. We just talked about them with the Falcons. I think that spoke more to the Falcons than the Panthers, to be honest. New England is the type of team, when you have wild deficiencies, they exploit them. They're the best at doing that. And I think that Carolina is a team that, although they have some really good things, particularly a defense that's very solid against the pass, I don't know exactly what they're going to do offensively. I wish this was 3. I don't like laying the points on the road, but I'm going to here with New England. I think they're on the upswing and they're getting better.
I like New England as well. Kind of a big win against the Chargers last week out west. They do seem to have a number of different ways to beat you, right? There's still a pretty good defense. They can run the ball quite a bit. They can do it with multiple running backs, and they don't have a whole lot of explosive plays in the passing game, but they're always good to mix in a trick player too. And Mac Jones has been nothing but efficient in his rookie season.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They're kind of a low variance team. I think they're unlikely to knock off the elites of the league, but I think they're also pretty unlikely to get exposed by inferior teams just because of the way they play. Mac Jones kind of just does what he does. You lean on Harris in the backfield, you lean on the defense, you lean on the coaching. And I think they have advantages in a lot of those categories. So I actually kind of lean under as well. I think this could be really ugly. I honestly think Carolina is live for like 10 points in this game.
Well, it's my local game here in North Carolina.
Sorry.
So, it is what it is. You turn big plays into paydays with BetMGM. New BetMGM users that deposit at least $10 using the link in the video description below and make their first bet get 3 free months of Awesemo Plus Platinum. It's 3 free months. This gives you full access to everything we have to offer in DFS, season-long fantasy football, and sports betting. New customers start with a risk-free bet of up to $1,000 upon first deposit. Join the king of sportsbooks. Offer valid in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, Nevada, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and West Virginia. Terms and conditions apply. We don't have a ton of gigantic spreads this week, but we do have one. And of course, it's the Buffalo Bills with their terrific offense, terrific defense, top scoring offense and defense in the league. Pretty unique combo to put together there. And they're at Jacksonville. This Jaguars team has been poorly coached. They haven't played well. They came off the bye, got the doors blown off of them in Seattle. Jacksonville's at least at home. Is 14.5 points enough for you to back Urban Meyer's crew?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, I just tend not to lay north of 2 touchdowns on the road too often. And the Bills are a team, just talking about the Patriots, the Bills, I think, are uniquely set up to bludgeon teams. We have seen this time and time again with them. So that is a little scary. But at the same time, the majority of those, not all, but the majority are in Buffalo when they really get going. The thing I like about the Jaguars, for all the bad teams, to me, they have one of the better offenses. And when you're talking about getting 14.5, even if you do a lot of stupid stuff, if you can manufacture 20 points yourself, that really puts a ton of pressure on the other team to hang 40. This is not college football. It's hard to score that much. So yes, Josh Allen and Diggs and this team obviously is far superior, but I still look at Jacksonville. I hope that they can lean on whatever they want to throw out of this backfield, try to limit the mistakes. I think they clearly lose the game, but I also think it's somewhat respectable.
You know, the over-unders at 48.5, not gigantic for a game with a 14.5 point spread. So I think, you know, Vegas kind of looking at it saying Jags aren't going to be able to score against this offense. But James Robinson's going to be interesting. He's going to try to gut it through, at least in the pregame warm-up, see if he can go. It's a pain tolerance thing for Robinson. He's really what makes that offense go.
Yeah, I mean, him being able to contribute a little would be huge. But, you know, a sub 50 total when you're laying this many points, it's pretty narrow. Like you're talking about they're projecting a 31-17 game, basically, give or take. You know, if the Jaguars are able to surpass that team total, they're going to have a very good shot of covering this number. And I don't think it's unrealistic to think that they can put up 20 to 24 points in a spot like this.
I had Buffalo, but you're starting to make me second guess that one. I might take a look at it later.
Like I said, Buffalo destroys teams. If someone told me they like Buffalo here, I would have no pushback. I just think more often than not, these teams, you know, all the bad teams particular, when you look at their best performances, the extreme majority are at home. I mean, even the Jets, they've got 2 fantastic wins. They're both in New York. Then they go on the road. They look awful. I think the Jaguars will be in that category of having some good performances at home and looking pretty awful everywhere else.
Next matchup, the Minnesota Vikings are visiting the Baltimore Ravens. Big injury for Minnesota. Kind of goes under the radar a little bit, but Danielle Hunter is done for the season. Tore his pec last week on Sunday Night Football against Dallas. If Minnesota does anything truly well, it has been that pass rush over the years, and they lose their top pass rusher. They do it in a week, obviously going up against Baltimore, one of the top running offenses in the league. The Ravens coming off the bye. John Harbaugh has been very good coming off the bye over the course of his career. Fairly big spread here, though. The Ravens are a 6-point favorite. They are on their home field. Minnesota, for as much as we can knock them for, they're probably a little better than Denver, right? I call Denver a competent football team. The Vikings are an average to above average team. They're just all over the place. It's hard to determine which team's going to show up which week. I lean towards the points here, even if I don't feel great about it. What do you make of the Ravens and the Vikings?
Yeah, the Vikings are a truly, I don't get it. I mean, how you lose that game at home at night to Cooper Rush is beyond me. I'll be honest, I don't love the spot for Minnesota. A lot of it's optics, but I think they're optics that matter. I mean, Baltimore, they got dismantled by an up-and-coming team in Cincinnati at home. Then they go on the bye, and now they come back against a team in Minnesota. You mentioned the loss. Minnesota's 27th in the league in rushing yards allowed per attempt, 4.6. I just worry that the strength of Baltimore is the weakness of Minnesota. I do think that Cousins has been good this year. He's got true alphas on the outside. He's got Dalvin Cook. I just don't know how they're going to really slow Baltimore. Coming off the bye, I think they're a great teaser piece. I really do expect them to win the game. Not super confident in the number, but inside 7, I think I still lean there.
The Ravens, one thing I'll say, that pass defense has struggled at times this year. Joe Burrow and Carson Wentz both threw for over 400 yards. If you believe Kirk Cousins has one of those big games, even as this offense has struggled over the last month, as you said, he has the alpha dogs on the outside. There are some weapons there. You're getting 6. I don't really like it, but I had Baltimore favored by 4. I'll take the 2 points extra there with Minnesota. I'll follow the data on that one, even if I don't feel great about it. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles at home against the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers, another team. They've kind of been all over the map, right? What we thought was a big win against Kansas City, that maybe it's just the Chiefs aren't that good, as it all turns out. Chargers losing last week to the New England Patriots on their home field. Now they go across the country to Philadelphia. The Eagles, another team all over the place, coming off a blowout win against the Detroit Lions, for as much as that counts. Eagles home dog, getting 1.5. Who do you like here, Ben?
Yeah, this is another team similar to the Browns. I really have no pulse on what the Eagles are about. I did think that, and it's easy to say this now, but everyone was, oh, the Lions are finally going to win a game. The Lions are just awful. And I don't know how much it says about Philadelphia, but we did finally see them put together a kind of a complete package and look pretty good, but level of competition increases here. I think the key for me, we saw, and we were both pretty adamant that New England had a real shot to win that game last week. And I think it's because the Chargers are dead last in the league in rushing yards allowed per attempt, over 5 per carry. That's horrendous. So I guess my question, can Boston Scott, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Howard, Kenneth Gainwell, whoever the hell they want to give the ball back there, can that committee really control the game? Because I think if you get in a back and forth, I'll be taking Justin Herbert more often than not in that situation. But I think at home, the Eagles have a pretty good shot to do just that, control the game on the ground and move another one in the win column.
So you think a lot of standing ovations, because every time the Eagles run the ball at home, the crowd is given a standing ovation in recent weeks. It would be nice to see them take advantage of this big matchup nightmare as you break it down. Nick Sirianni really hasn't shown the inclination to go with that, though.
I'm hoping, and I say hoping every time we talk about the Eagles, that they are going to lean on last week. And it's true. What happened with Gainwell last week? I don't know. All of a sudden, not really being targeted, but they just put together a very run-heavy package. They got ahead. And I think this is the type of game, if the Eagles get ahead, I think they're going to stay ahead. And if they fall behind, I kind of think they stay behind because they need to lean on this running game. Certainly Miles Sanders would have been nice, but they still have ample backs. And I think that's the one weakness where they have a distinct advantage over the Chargers.
I like Philly too. I mean, look, again, a home dog, you're getting the extra point for whatever that's worth. And I think the public just overrates the Chargers a little bit. Justin Herbert is terrific. He was as a rookie. He's a terrific quarterback. And I think he's going to be a guy we'll be watching for the next 15 plus years. But, it's not all together for that Chargers team yet. And as you broke down, I mean, that's a big matchup nightmare. If Jalen Hurts starts running all over you, I think that plays pretty well into what the Chargers don't stop very well. And we saw the Browns put up 35 points in the Chargers earlier this year, right? Let's go to the next game. I mean, this is interesting. Green Bay, Kansas City. Of course, no Aaron Rodgers, tested positive for COVID earlier this week. We didn't hear about that. The Kansas City Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes playing like Chad Henne. I don't know what's going on out there. I thought Dan Orlovsky of ESPN kind of broke it down pretty well, just how bad the footwork, the mechanics have become for Mahomes. He kind of looks sloppy. Even when he's throwing those crossing routes, he's always been so dynamite on, like Tyreek Hill is reaching back for the ball. Nothing is coming easy for the Chiefs, and we've seen it on national television so many times now. And again, on Monday night, even in a win against the New York Giants, I don't think you would have blinked at taking the Chiefs at home, 7 points against Jordan Love, making his first career NFL start at Arrowhead Stadium in the past. And now I'm like, boy, I don't know if I could back the Chiefs. It's a 7-point spread. What do you make of how this game sets up with quite a few unknowns?
Yeah, that really is it. And, not to sound like that guy, but I feel like with Mahomes, it was inevitable with the bad habits. Like, he's unbelievable, but he also, I felt like, got away with a lot. And some of it has regressed. Some of these balls that probably should have been picked originally that weren't, now are. And now he's kind of running pretty bad.
He could have thrown an extra 3 on Monday night, at least. I mean, he just never says a play is dead, and then he's just chucking it. I feel like it's like a classic example of trying to do too much.
And I get it, because I feel like in the past, he's taken that mentality and it's worked out more often than not. So why wouldn't you think that? But the reality is nobody can make these type of plays. It's just, and it's funny, not to go on a tangent, but I watched a lot of college football, and Mahomes was always electric in college, but he always made a lot of mistakes because he takes a lot of chances. And then he got to the NFL and somehow he didn't make any mistakes. And I never understood that. It's somewhat honestly refreshing to see it because I always expected that. He's still unbelievable, but there's no doubt this offense is a shell of what it was at the height of its powers. And I don't think it's just him, but they are in Arrowhead and they are going against a guy that the last time we saw him was playing football for Utah State. And I don't know what to do there. As Chat's pointing out, it's got to be an Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon game. Their combined prop, if you want to look at it, it's basically just north of 100. I don't mind hitting both if you think they can stay in the game. They have to run the football. That is the great weakness of Kansas City. The defense is terrible. If Mahomes strikes first and Kansas City gets up, it's going to be a long day in Arrowhead. I think I'm going to lean to lay the points just because I don't know what Green Bay is going to show as a product today.
Yeah, Green Bay can't play from behind.
No.
I think another thing is, they didn't find out until, it was Wednesday that Rodgers tested positive. He had some symptoms on Tuesday, so maybe they had an inkling it was going to be Jordan Love earlier in the week. But it's not exactly a full week for Love to prepare. I will say he's not a rookie. He's been on the bench for a year and a half. He got some playing time against the Saints in that game in Jacksonville. That was a blowout the first week of the season. Don't fall behind early is really the big item here if you're going to back Green Bay. I'm taking Green Bay plus the 7. But yeah, I will say too, Devontae Adams is back. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is back for Green Bay. Jordan Love's going to have almost a full complement of weapons. Robert Tonyan's done for the season. And he does have a capable running game. He has some different things to rely on. And this Chiefs defense has just been terrible all year. That really hasn't changed.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that, depending on your book, I think if you want to parlay the Packers and the under, it is strongly correlated here. I think that the way, and we saw this against Arizona, Green Bay dominated time of possession, just absolutely crushed them. I see no way that if this game gets into the 60s, the high 50s, that Green Bay is in a good situation. I think there is no way that happens. I think Aaron Jones and Dillon can give them hope in a 24-20 game, a 21-17 game. You don't want to play a shootout with Mahomes versus Jordan Love. That seems like a very bad idea.
Another stat that kind of jumped out at me, the Packers defense is 22nd in the league in DVOA. So while this defense did a good job against Kyler Murray and company on Thursday Night Football, the last time we saw them, they haven't exactly been dominant over the course of this year. They do force some turnovers, and they'll be looking to do that against Kansas City. Not a game I have a strong feel on, but I ended up with Green Bay. You like Kansas City in this spot with the 7-point spread. Arizona, San Francisco, a field goal spread for these two. This is a line that's moved a little bit, and that's because Kyler Murray might not play, and it seems to be leaning towards he's not going to go now. Colt McCoy, the backup for Arizona. These two teams played a couple of weeks back. It was a defensive game anyway. Arizona did win it 17-10 on their home field. Now you're talking about being at San Francisco. I'll throw it out to you neutrally. Who do you like?
I like the Niners. I preferred it at 3 like most people. It's up to 3.5. That's fine. I think that this is a spot. Arizona, it's just not good. I mean, Kyler is the head of that snake. They need him. He's unbelievable. He makes everything go. He's either going to play and be really limited, or he's not going to play. And you're going to have Colt McCoy, who's not terrible, but he's not Kyler Murray, obviously. And you're going against the Niners team that is getting a little healthier and I think really knows who they are. And again, this is a situation when I have games like this, I do look at the prop market to try to picture it. And I went to Odd Shopper and I looked, and someone like George Kittle, his line is 44.5 receiving yards. So I know he's going to be on some sort of pitch count.
He is going to be about half the snaps.
Yeah. I still think he can really contribute though. And I think the line kind of indicates that. And really for Arizona, the lines are saying, okay, they've got a dual head running back. Other than that though, what exactly are they going to give you? I think San Francisco's defense. Yeah.
Arizona's defense.
Yeah, that's really the key. So for me, I think the Niners have less questions. They're at home. I think they win today pretty convincingly, actually.
Really? Jimmy Garoppolo is going to put up some points,
Jimmy G, running machine. You see him in the end zone like 8 times last week. He was taking quarterback sneaks like he was Trey Lance. He was doing his best Trey Lance imitation. Look at that. 5 carries for 4 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's what I'm talking about, Jimmy.
Monster day. Make a miss.
That's what I'm talking about. So I just, again, the comfort level reminds me of Baltimore a little. San Francisco wants to run the ball. They want to lean on their defense. I think that's the exact way to attack Arizona. Perfect situation at home. No excuse if they lose this game.
All right, we do have the Sunday night game coming up here, and Ben, he has been right on all year with these Tennessee Titans. So we'll have that pick for you coming up in a second. But as we start to wrap things up in the next few minutes, give us a like, subscribe. Hopefully we're helping you out here. Give us that little thumbs up on YouTube, and make sure you keep up with all of our shows, DFS offers, giveaways, and much more here at Awesemo. And once you do subscribe, hit that notification button. Get alerts when our shows go live. I mean, put it on your Google Calendar, do the whole thing. 9 o'clock every Sunday morning, make it part of your routine. Ben and I going through all the spreads, all your Sunday, giving you an idea of what to bet on here through MGM bets. And then you could, of course, check out Ben on DFS and mix in all of that kind of fun stuff too, if that's what you like to do. The LA Rams, Sunday Night Football. Feeling good about the way things are going. Matthew Stafford, of course, has been such a dynamite pickup for them. The Tennessee Titans, they've won a bunch of games in a row over the Bills, over the Chiefs, over the Colts in overtime. Big come-from-behind victory last week. But unfortunately, they lose Derrick Henry, perhaps for the season. And while we don't necessarily talk about running backs the same way we talk about quarterbacks and the meaning to a team, that is who Derrick Henry is for these Tennessee Titans. I mean, they have to change a lot about what they do. And I think a prime example, they go out and bring in Adrian Peterson, hoping to find a genie in a bottle for a few weeks and be able to continue with the same kind of game plan that they've had in the past. But it's impossible to replicate what Derrick Henry has done.
I mean, yeah, it's not that they lost a great player. They lost their identity. That's who the Titans were. It was Derrick Henry. It was pound, get stronger as the game goes on, wear him down. He can't do that. So what happens? I don't really know because I think Tannehill, although he's a fine player, really benefited from never being the focal point of defenses. Now they're going to have to try to score with a team like the Rams. There's also the cumulative nature of it. You mentioned 3 big-time, brutal wins, overtime games. It's just really, really tough stuff for Tennessee. This seems like a true meltdown spot. Obviously, I wanted it less than 7. Kind of like the over. I kind of like the Rams. I think Tennessee's going to try to score with them. I don't know what other choice they have, and that's going to be really difficult because there is nothing on that team that's going to give them even a remote ability to replicate what they want to do. So they're going to have to change it up, and that could lead to a lot of problems.
Even the way the matchup's set up, right? Like, not only is Derrick Henry not there, and you can start focusing on the passing game a little bit more. All right, the Rams add Von Miller this past week. He's not the Von Miller Super Bowl 50 MVP at this point, but still a very capable pass rusher. A.J. Brown has been the Titans' #1 weapon, and he's questionable in this game. If he does play, he's going to have Jalen Ramsey shadowing him. I'm not sure what Julio Jones still gives you at this point. I think we've seen one big game from him this season and not a whole lot more. There's just so many unknowns for Tennessee here. And as you mentioned, the cumulative effect over the last 3 weeks as well. And I don't feel that bad giving up 7.5 points with an offense like the Rams. They do have the ability to steamroll opponents, even if they took their foot off the accelerator in the fourth quarter last week to the detriment of many.
Yeah, it's just a talent disparity at this point. And we've just seen when you lose, like I said, that identity, it's very, very difficult to replicate. You can't just say, oh, we're going to become a totally different team. We're going to be pass first. That's just not going to work. And I don't think Adrian Peterson and McNichols are going to be able to, maybe stats wise, they can mask some of it. But again, just the ability to mask the game and give that script that they want, I think is going to be severely impacted. And then you're going against a Rams team that just on paper, the Rams are also amazing. Like, this is not a bad opponent. The Rams are a very talented team at home. So really bad spot for Tennessee.
Yeah, I like the Rams here too. Lock it up. What's your best bet of the day, Ben?
It's always weird to do this with a game that has a big question mark, but I don't even care if Kyler plays or not. I think that the Niners really handle them here. It's a spread that's moved all the way, and I know that's because of the injury, but San Francisco getting healthier at home. I think they win this must-have divisional game, easily by the spread for sure.
And we disagreed on this game, but I really like the Browns today to handle the Bengals and win that one.
Take it from someone that knows when you lock it up with the Browns, you don't want to come on the show the next week. Just trust me on that. But
I guess the one lock it up I lost was with the Browns against the Chargers a few weeks ago. So we'll double back down. Why not? Give it a shot.
Every week with this team.
Thanks so much for joining us here at the Awesemo Betting Show presented by BetMGM here on the Awesemo Odds channel. Check out our other YouTube channels as well, the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel and Awesemo DFS channel. You see Ben on the DFS channel coming up a little bit. The NFL Deeper Dive starts at the top of the hour, and then live before lock, taking you right up to the early kickoffs. Ben, always a pleasure, my friend. I'm Pete McCarthy. Happy betting.